Hi everyone, I hope you're doing good. This is Pratishta, your IELTS trainer, and in this session, we are not going to talk about reading, writing, speaking, listening. We are going to talk about grammar. So, one of the major concepts of grammar is sentence structures, and we are going to learn about what a sentence structure is. I have discussed this in past. We are going to talk about what are the different kinds, what are clauses, how you can use different clauses, what is an independent clause, what is a dependent clause, how you can use it, what are some conjunctions that you can use to connect these two clauses together and create a more complex structure. So basically, all in all, we are going to discuss more complex structures here. And with that being said, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and let's see what we have for today. So we have grammar mastery, complex sentence structures. So in this lesson, we will learn about complex sentence structures. We will understand how to use clauses to enhance writing, and we will practice creating complex structures. So what are complex sentences, first of all? A complex sentence contains one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. So independent clause is something that can stand alone as a complete sentence. I mean, it will make sense. For example, she went out. She went out. That's all. It makes sense. It's independent. It does not need help. But um, because no, let's see. And ate pizza. Now, this part is not independent. It cannot stand alone, right? It needs help of something. It needs a reference point. If I just say, if I come to you and say, and ate pizza, does it make sense? No. I need some reference point. She went out and ate pizza. This makes sense. So this is your independent clause plus your dependent clause, right? And this is giving more information about her, right? So complex sentences are used to show relationships between ideas and add depth to writing. So although it was raining, we decided to go for a walk. This is like an example. Then let's discuss the type of clauses that we have. First one, we have independent clause, a complete thought that can stand alone as a sentence. For example, she enjoys reading. It makes sense, it can stand alone. Dependent clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb, but does not express a complete thought. So it's not complete because she enjoys reading. Okay, but because what? Right? So we have to always think, but like it does not make sense, right? If I just come to you and say, because she enjoys reading. So you would say, okay, and then what? Like why? Like, does not make sense. That is dependent. Dependent clauses often begin with subordinating conjunctions like because, although, if, when, etc. It all these are used to give more information. Examples of independent clauses. She enjoys reading. So this sentence can stand by itself. It has a subject she and a verb enjoys, and it makes complete sense. Second, they went to park. This is independent clause because it expresses a complete idea. You know who they are and what did they do. So they went to the park, right? So they went to the park. Subject and the verb and the object. The sun is shining. It makes complete sense that the sun is shining. The sun is our subject, is the verb, and like it's the helping verb. If you remember auxiliary and helping verb, the be verbs, and this is shining. It's the main verb. He will arrive tomorrow. So again, this makes sense. He is the person, is our subject. Will arrive, it's our verb, and tomorrow is like a time frame given. So it's a sentence in future, right? So he will arrive tomorrow. It makes complete sense, and it gives information about he. Now, examples of dependent clause. Because she enjoys reading. It's again not a complete sentence, right? It gives a reason, but it does not tells like reason for what, right? So you need to add an independent clause like she goes to the library often because she enjoys reading. Now, this is a complete sentence. It's explaining why she enjoys reading, and it is also explaining what she does for it. When the rain stops, it introduces a time but does not tell you what happens after the rain stops. So we can add an independent clause. For example, we will go outside when it stops raining or when the rain stops. Although he was tired. Again, it's not complete. This clause does not express a full idea. It needs an independent clause. Although he was tired, he finished his homework. If I finish my work. So the clause introduces a condition, but it's incomplete, right? Condition is if this happens, then that happens, some sort of condition. It needs to be attached to something like, I will watch a movie if I finish my work. So if I finish my work, I'm going to watch a movie. Now, combining independent and dependent clauses. She enjoys reading is independent. Because it helps her relax is dependent. So this is giving a main idea, while this explains why. She enjoys reading. Why? Because it helps her relax. We went home when it started raining. So it tells about what happened. And this tells us about the time. What happened? We went home. When? When it started raining. He didn't come to the party, although he was invited. So this gives us the action, and this gives us the information. And this information is contrasting because, contrasting means opposite, because we have used although. Although he was invited, some opposite action is going to happen, that he did not come. Although it was sunny, they did not attend the picnic, something like that. So although will always tell about contrasting ideas. Now, common subordinating conjunctions. We have a few subordinating conjunctions that are extremely common. So some of them are, so first of all, what subordinating conjunctions are? They are something that will connect two ideas together. So it usually connects dependent clauses with independent clauses, and they show the relation between them. So because it gives reason. I stayed home because I was sick. So why? Because I was sick. Although gives a contrasting idea. She went out although it was raining. If shows condition. We will go if it stops snowing. When obviously talks about time. They were happy when they heard the news. And since sort of also gives us a time, like a time frame. Since she moved here, we have been good friends, right? So ever since she moved here. So now identify the kinds of clauses. There are two different clauses. I will go to the gym if I finished my homework. So independent clause, dependent clause. And this is a condition. Because she was tired, dependent clause. She went to bed early, independent clause. This is reason, because. We will go to the beach when the weather improves. So we will go to the beach is independent clause. When is time. And this is our dependent clause. Although it was raining, They decided to play soccer. So this is an independent clause. Although it was raining is dependent, and although is giving us a contrast of ideas. He didn't attend the meeting because he was feeling sick. So he didn't attend the meeting is our independent clause. Because he was feeling sick is our dependent clause, and it gives a reason. The teacher will give us more time if we need it. Dependent, independent. And this is condition if we need it. After the movie ended, we went out for dinner. So after the movie ended and we went out for dinner. This is independent. This is dependent. And after is our time. Again, it's time. It's subordinating conjunction. She will bake a cake if she has all the ingredients. Again, it's a condition. This is dependent clause. This is independent clause. When I saw the accident, I immediately called the police. So when I saw the accident is dependent, I immediately called the police is independent, and when is subordinating conjunction, which talks about some time. They will buy a new car once they save enough money. So independent, dependent, and once is our time. Now, again, you have identifying clauses. Read the following sentence and identify the independent and dependent clauses. So when the sun set, the temperature dropped. Independent, dependent, subordinating conjunction, and talks about time. I will call you if I have time. Condition, if I have time. Although he was tired, he finished his homework. So, contrast, dependent, independent. Now, create complex sentence, create by your own self. She likes to swim, the weather is warm. She likes to swim because the weather is warm. Or she likes to swim when the weather is warm. He went to the store because he needed to buy milk. They were late as the traffic was heavy. Or here also I can use because the traffic was heavy. Right? Now, subordinating conjunctions are words that link dependent clauses to independent clauses. We talked about some subordinating conjunctions, but we also have another. We have although, because, since, unless, while, whereas, and even though. Let's just make a sentence with all. So although and because we have already used a lot of time. So let us start with since. So since it was raining, we stayed indoors, right? Again, this talks about some time. It also gives reasoning. I will not go out unless it stops raining. I'll not go out unless it stops raining. While it rains, I will complete my homework. So while it rains, I'll complete my homework. Whereas it rained today, whereas it did not rain yesterday. So whereas it's a comparison. Even though it, I'm just like writing it for short. It rained today. He went to the mall. So again, it gives like a contrast. Even though it rained, he went to the mall. Right? So these are sentences. There are a lot of other conjunctions as well. Try to use them as much as you can to be able to create more complex sentence structures. Now make a complex sentence. I enjoy hiking when the weather is pleasant. She didn't attend the party because she wasn't feeling well. We will go out for dinner after you finish your work. He was tired since he had stayed up late. I will call you when I get home. We stayed inside because it was raining. Although he studied very hard, so although will come here, comma, he passed the exam. Actually, you know what? It should have been the opposite. Although he did not study hard, he passed the exam. They left the house, the sun had risen. They left the house before the sun had risen. While her brother was watching TV, she practiced piano. We will go hiking if the weather is nice. So, some tips are that use a variety of sentences in your essays, even while speaking. So don't just stick to making complex sentences. Also try and use making simple sentences, compound sentences, and things like that. Because if you just use complex sentences, it will really create a mess, and it would really look as if you're trying really hard, and it will not look natural at all. So use variety, be clear, make complex sentences, but don't make it unclear. Don't make it like too, complicated that people are not able to understand. I mean, don't use things that you don't know, right? If you don't know this particular conjunction, don't use it. Avoid overcomplicating. Enhance writing and improve your writing skills by using these complex sentence structures, but do not overcomplicate things, right? Because it will look complex, it will not look natural. Punctuate correctly. When you're using conjunctions, make sure you're using correct punctuations as well. Again, if you have any kind of doubts related to complex sentences, even compound sentences, conjunctions, independent dependent clause, anything, you can ask, right? You can also discuss grammar rules, uh, try to provide more examples and explanations, and make sure that you have understood everything. I would suggest you to read all of this again and ask yourself if you understand this, if you're able to create sentences on your own. So I would really like you to write 5 complex sentences using different subordinating conjunctions. Review these sentences, make sure your grammar is correct, make sure you know the reason why you have used them, make sure the punctuations are correct, and that should be it for your practice. Let's just review what we did today. So we learned about complex sentence structures and clauses. What are dependent clauses? What are independent clauses, right? How to use them. We also studied about what are conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions especially. So we learned a few different kinds of conjunctions, why are they used and where they are used. And we discussed some tips as well. We practiced some activities to be able to use these conjunctions in a better way. And that was pretty much it that we did, right? So I hope you are able to understand all of this, and there should be no room for doubt now. Just try to practice it, whatever you have understood. Until and unless you start practicing, you won't be able to get um, the content. So I would really suggest you practice all of this, and any doubts, you can just clear out your doubts, and that should be it. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next session.